Hello YouTubers, this is SHEM. For the past few weeks I've been testing all features of the newest LG flagship. The time has come to bring you my detailed LG G3 review. I hope you'll enjoy the video. The phone comes packaged in a silver and brown card box, on the back of which you can find some information about various technologies used in the device. One of the sides has a label with information about the version and color of the smartphone. LG G3 is available in 16GB variant with 2GB of RAM memory and 32GB with 3GB of RAM. There are 5 different color options to choose from. My unit is the 16GB variant in titanium grey. Let's have a look inside the box. The first thing you see after opening is your brand new smartphone. I'm gonna put the device aside for a minute and show you the remaining box contents. Once you remove the first card divider, you'll find a short instruction manual, warranty card and the battery. Below lies another card divider that hides the wall charger, USB charging cable and the Quad Beat 2 in-canal earphones with remote and mic from LG. Now let's move on to the build and design of the LG G3. There is a protective film covering the front panel which I'm gonna take off. On the top lies a speakerphone with 2.1 megapixel camera capable of capturing 1080p video, a multicolored LED light and proximity sensor on the left hand side. Below we have the 5.5 inch 2K display with true HD IPS technology covered by Corning Gorilla Glass 3. Below the screen is the LG logo. Despite the large display, the device is similar in size to some of the 5-inch models from the competition thanks to a very good display to frame ratio. The sides of the phone are protected with films. There are no buttons on the left side and on the bottom you can find the headphone jack on the left, the microphone and a centrally located USB charging port. On the right side you won't find any buttons once again, and on the top right side is yet another microphone and an IR sensor which will let you use your G3 as a remote. On the back of the device lies the 13 megapixel camera module with laser autofocus on the left and double LED flash on the right. Below the camera module lie the volume and power button and a silver LG logo. On the bottom left is the 1-watt speaker. Both the sides and the back of the device are made of plastic. The back cover is removable and you can take it off by prying a slit on the right side. Below the cover you'll find the micro SIM and micro SD card slots and the removable battery. The G3 is compatible with QI wireless charging standard. LG is amongst the very few manufacturers that still have removable batteries in their flagships, but the device is not waterproof like Samsung Galaxy S5 or the Sony Xperia Z2. Thanks to its round shape, the phone feels great in the hand despite of its hefty size. It's 146.3mm in length, 74.6mm in width and 8.9mm in thickness. The weight is 149 grams. The buttons located on the back at first feel awkward, but with time become very comfortable to use. The only problematic action is taking a screenshot, as it requires pressing the power and volume down buttons simultaneously, and it is not as easy as on other devices. Overall, even though the phone is made of plastic, it makes a good impression and all elements are well fitted together as would be expected from a flagship handset. Moving on to the technical specification, the LG G3 packs quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 CPU clocked at 2.5 GHz and Adreno 330 graphics chip. The phone is equipped with Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, LTE and GPS and supports QI wireless charging. With airplane mode switched on, the G3 locked onto 13 satellites within just a couple of seconds. It had no problems with Wi-Fi and mobile network reception either. The device is available in 2 versions, 16GB with 2GB of RAM and 32GB with 3GB of RAM, both of which have microSD card slots to easily expand memory. In Antutu Benchmark, the phone achieved 35,772, which is a decent result but puts it below the competition like the Galaxy S5, HTC One M8 or Xperia Z2. Of course, benchmarks are not always the best indicator of phone's performance in daily use, and LG G3 does not impress when it comes to the smoothness of the interface, and lags are noticeable when scrolling screens and performing other tasks. Most likely it's the massive 2K resolution that is to blame here. When testing the phones in demanding games such as Modern Combat 5 or Asphalt 8, It performed well and I didn't notice frame drops or lags. The temperature stayed on the comfortable side and was lower than in competition. The phone did however get really warm a few times during regular use. The 5.5-inch Gorilla Glass 3 covered display in LG G3 has a massive resolution of 1440 by 2560 pixels, which gives it a pixel density of 534 pixels per inch. The technology used is True HD IPS and it has the highest resolution available on any mobile device. In my opinion, the difference between a Full HD and a 2K display found here is not noticeable, and this is nothing else than a marketing gimmick that has its toll on battery and performance. Nevertheless, it is one of the best displays I've tested, and it has great color reproduction as well as viewing angles and brightness. The G3 has a single 1-watt speaker located on the back. Its location does not cause accidental muffling during normal use, and the sound is decent for a mobile device. It is however very shallow and lacks bass, and is definitely not a competitor for brilliant HTC boom sound speakers. The built-in equalizer lets you adjust the sound, but is not system-wide and is unavailable in third-party apps such as Spotify. During phone calls, the speakerphone is loud and clear, but in maximum volumes it gives off an unpleasant screeching noise. As I've previously mentioned, the G3 works on Android 4.4.2 KitKat. The skin from LG is one of the nicest available on the market. The interface is intuitive, and everyone who has used an Android device before will feel at home when first using LG's flagship. There are a lot of additional features that can be found in software. On home screen we can set up a dedicated screen with LG Health and tips. LG Health is our fitness companion that measures calories and, thanks to the built-in podometer, the steps taken during the day. The app is quite accurate and it measured exactly 100 steps during a test. In the notification menu you will find quick toggles, and in the actual settings a ton of customization options. You can choose one of 4 available navigation button colors and add or remove shortcuts. Change the font and its size, or choose a theme that will completely change the looks. Themes as well as icons and other content can be downloaded from a built-in LG Smart World app. This is not the end of personalization options. In G3 we can also set one of the available screen off effects and transition effects. If you decide to buy a dedicated quick circle case from LG or any alternative with the circular cutout, you will have quick circle apps to your disposition. I've already talked about that in my case review, so if you're interested in this feature, make sure you check out the video. LG's flagship has a range of gesture controls that make your life easier, and a great double tap to wake gesture known from LG G2, and the double tap the status bar to put to sleep. What's interesting is the guest mode found in the device that lets you set a separate profile with limited access to apps with own access password or pattern. Knock code is an innovative way found in G3 to unlock the device by tapping a pattern in 4 quadrants. There are also a range of solutions to make work and multitasking easier, such as dual windowed mode that lets you open 2 apps simultaneously, similar to the one found in Samsung devices, or a keyboard that can have its size adjusted and comes with single-handed typing mode. Very interesting other feature is Q-Slide apps that can open as a floating window on the screen and can have their size and transparency adjusted. 9 built-in apps can be opened like this, and you can continue working on the device whilst they're open. Thanks to the built-in infrared sensor, the device can substitute a remote to any remote controlled device. The built-in quick remote app is very intuitive and is not limited to just TVs, as is very often the case in similar apps in other smartphones. The volume buttons on the back can act as shortcuts to camera and a built-in Quick Memo Plus note-taking app when long pressed. LG G3 comes equipped with a removable 3000 mAh lithium-ion battery. I've tested the smartphone for nearly a month, and unfortunately the battery life is the Achilles foot of this model. With full brightness and LTE switched on, the device only lasted for 2.5 hours of screen on time and 8 to 10 hours overall, and with intensive use the battery would die after just 5 hours. When using only Wi-Fi networks, I was able to achieve 3 to 4 hours of screen on time. Those results for me are unacceptable, and the phone does worse than other flagships that I've tested. The only solution seems to be a second battery or a power bank. Now let's move on to the camera. On the back is a 13 megapixel module with dual LED flash, optical image stabilization and a laser autofocus, and in front is a 2.1 megapixel module with 1080p recording capability. Once you open the camera app, you will find quick settings on the left in horizontal position. Here you can find flash options, front and back camera toggle, photographing modes and settings. LG G3 has 4 shooting modes: automatic, magic focus, panorama and dual. There is no manual mode and no way to adjust the shutter speed, ISO or exposure. In magic focus mode, the camera takes a series of images and lets you choose the focus after taking the picture. It's similar to the mode in HTC One M8. Panorama mode lets you take shots with up to 70 megapixel resolution, and the algorithm software stitched the images perfectly with no noticeable breaks. The last shooting mode is dual mode, which takes the image with front and back camera simultaneously. We have a series of effects to choose from, but the shots are only 1 megapixel and thus are useful only for social networks. On the list of settings, first up is the HDR, which can be set to auto. Next we have the resolution settings for photo and video. Maximum is 13 megapixels for photo and 4K for video. Next are voice comments that activate the camera shutter after saying one of the available comments, the timer and the grid, and lastly you can set the save location on either internal memory or SD card. When it comes to the quality of pictures, I was quite impressed. The camera did very well in good lighting conditions and images looked almost like taken with a DSLR. This smartphone does great with macro shots as well, and the HDR mode lets you capture nice scenery images with both the first plan as well as the background clouds captured. The laser autofocus works almost immediately after pressing the screen. Unfortunately, as is the case with most smartphones, the night shots have a lot to be desired and are full of noise and graininess. Because there are no manual settings found in the phone, no ISO or exposure corrections can be made. The 2.1 megapixel front camera is decent, but in 2014 I would lean towards 5 megapixel shooters on flagship devices. The app has a cool built-in feature that lets you take a picture after a hand gesture. Now let's talk about the video captured with G3. It can record in 4K resolution. Whilst recording, you can change focus by pressing on the screen. The recordings are limited to 5 minutes in the maximum resolution. Other than that, we of course have the standard 1080p and 720p resolutions and a 720p 120 frames per second option for slow motion. So as usual, at the end I'm going to summarize the smartphone and help you decide if the G3 is the phone for you. The main strengths of the smartphone are a very good screen to frame ratio and a relatively small size for a device with such a large display, elegant design, useful software features that help with work and multitasking, and a multitude of technologies such as infrared, QI wireless charging, LTE and NFC. On the list of weaknesses of LG G3 are a very short battery life, which in my opinion shadows most of its strengths, lags in interface which is not as smooth as in other flagships, and lack of waterproofing that can be found in competition. LG G3 is an example of a device that was ruined by a marketing team trying to convince consumers of the 2K resolution display superiority on a mobile device. In my opinion, this is nonsense as 1080p would be perfect. Nevertheless, the G3 is a great smartphone and it is definitely one to be considered. I hope that you've enjoyed my review. If you did, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the like button under the video. Thanks for watching.